Create with Franz Sydney. Hello everyone, welcome to episode 63 of Create with Franz. I want you to be feeling very welcome and very relaxed and energized today as we talk about something very important, is how to keep your fitness goals in the forthcoming cold months. Is it possible? Yes, it is absolutely possible. So let's have a look a little bit back into January 2021. We were all full of, that kind of fresh outlook. We were writing down lots of goals in these brand new little booklets, and we had made all these lovely promises to ourselves. We were going to change our diet. We were going to exercise. We were going to buy only healthy foods, whatever that meant to you. And then by August, we realized that we have given some half-heartedly effort to some of those things, but we have noticed that the weight is creeping up again, or we've noticed that we're not losing any weight, or that our fitness is just as it was before, rubbish. And we really want to get better. So in October, we start feeling guilty because, 10 months are pretty much gone. I mean, well, no, 10 months, I say 9 months because this is the beginning of October. But, Christmas is coming. It's amazing. It was September. I went to my local grocery store, Tesco, and I saw there all the Christmas chocolates. And I thought, wow, isn't that early? And I can hear you saying, from now on, you can see all these little triggers. And you say, well, Franz, there is no point in going on a diet now because whatever you say, I'm going to gain it all back by Christmas time. So I will move my goal to get back into shape to January. And so I have to say only one word about this in capitals, and that is stop. Just stop thinking that way. Now you know very well that procrastinating and self-sabotaging are just tricks of your mind to keep you very comfortable, safe, cocooned, without doing any changes. You know that changes are uncomfortable. So what can you do now? So winter is coming, we will want warm foods and maybe comfort food. We have to be very careful of what's going on in our mind, the internal dialogue. This is the key to lose weight. It's not a special diet or a ketogenic diet or a dairy-free diet or whatever. Just you have to go on a thoughts diet. Let me explain what you have to do. It's very, very simple and you will love it. So the first idea that I have is that we really want to find out what is keeping us stuck. So what is our secondary gain? What is that we're gaining by not using the right foods or the right diet or by not exercising? Is there something going on in the back of our mind that keep us soothed because we're not doing anything? So you can ask yourself these questions, or if there is no answer, you can find a therapist and work with a therapist to find out what you're gaining when the weight is still there, when your fitness is still not getting better, when your health is decreasing. And I'm not talking here about people who are born with a very rare genetic problem. You can tell because they're born obese. They don't have ghrelin, they don't have leptin. They're completely different from us. We're not talking about these people that have a very, very bad thyroid because they have to work a lot harder than us. We're talking about normal people who have pictures of wedding pictures or whatever, university pictures, they're slender. So don't come to me and tell me, oh, I'm designed to be fat. Nobody's designed to be fat. It's our mind that keeps giving us lots of excuses. And we love hearing those excuses until we realize that we can't walk anymore, that we need a hip replacement, that we have a back problem because the weight has been causing issues on our joints. And that is so painful. And, then if we can blame somebody else for this, that would be amazing, so we do not feel guilty. So it's important to realize, first of all, just being honest with ourselves and say, what is keeping me stuck? And what is keeping us stuck is the habit of doing something when we feel something. Because all we do as humans, Every action we do is because of a feeling that we want to have. Every action we have is aligned with the feelings we have. So we have ingrained in our pattern this process. Right, today I'm feeling low, I'm feeling stressed, I'm feeling tired, I'm feeling unhappy, whatever. I need something to soothe me, I need something to calm me. So I will turn to, it could be food, drugs, vaping, alcohol, it could be anything, it could be anger, but that's a self-soothing mechanism. Let's recognize it for what it is. Emotional eating, binge eating, but not because your body is hungry. So what we have to do, the second step, is detach those emotions from the eating process. We have to remember that food is simply what makes the building blocks of all our cells, of our blood, the organs, the bones. Food is not originally connected to celebration, rewards, or feeling soothed and calm, or being happy. It's only when we make the connection by repeating this behavior that this happens. So how do we detach those emotions? We have to break the thinking pattern. We have to create a detour for our brain every time that we have a trigger. Just to help yourself to begin this change, you want to make a distinction in your mind between good food, alive food, food that is good for you, and processed food, which is dead food. So visualize what happens when you eat, for example, a very simple apple. The stomach acid will break down this fruit in many parts. Later on, this food will go through your intestine, will be the villi there, working so hard to deliver those nutrients. They're going to be sent all over the bloodstream to nourish, to grow, to repair all our organs, the tissues, the brain, and everything else. And guess what? If you're eating the apple and leave the core, when you throw away the seeds of an apple, they have this capacity to sprout and to form a living thing, a tree. So these are alive food. They have energy, the energy of the sun. They grow with light. Think about oil from olives. It's a rich food and is designed to help lubricating the joints. It's a healthy fat and is used by our body in many good ways. And if you get back to the olive, you pick up the seed, you put it in the ground, it will sprout. I'm not going to talk now about deep gardening techniques, but that's what seeds do. They sprout, become a plant. On the other hand, when we eat processed food that is coming from a chemical plant, this process is not happening. So, for example, hydrogenated vegetable oil, which is contained in most processed foods, savory and sweet, well, it's a type of oil that cannot be used in our cells because the DNA is different from what our body is born to recognize. And for example, other things like cane sugar. Cane sugar, when refined, causes inflammation. Breakfast cereals, they're laden with sugar. Cakes, cookies, all these snacks that we see, they're full of hydrogenated vegetable oil. They're full of sugar. They are a perfect recipe for disaster. They create inflammation in our body. They certainly do not help with weight control. And sugar is addictive because it wakes up the same parts of the brain that react when you have heroin and cocaine. So I want you to visualize what happens when these foods are prepared in a factory. Go back to where they come from. Many of the parts of this food are no longer alive, but just added. They're fillers, preservatives, colorants, sugars, and are added to make them appetizing because to begin with, they were not even very good. They were maybe sub-quality foods. So, for example, low-fat foods, low-fat yogurt, they're filled with sugar because once you take the healthy fat out, they have to do something about the lack of taste, so they put sugar. So it's not healthy anymore. So don't buy diet stuff, low-fat. Fat is good for you. Sugar is the issue. But especially think about dead food, processed food. What do you think that is going to happen when we eat dead food and processed food? Do you think it's just going to disappear in thin air And I'm quoting Marcus Rothkranz here, who is a raw food guru, who is 55 plus and he looks 30, hardly. No wrinkles. How does he do? He eats tons and tons of raw food. This raw food, or this whatever bad food we are eating, is used to build up our cells. So let's imagine that you are an architect and you are building a brand new house, a beautiful house, but you are in a rush. So you do a very quick sketch, you hire some sloppy builders and some very sloppy engineers, you skimp a little bit on the materials, and imagine that you choose second-grade quality bricks, cement, roof tiles, and windows. And then when the building is finished, you look at it and it looks amazing. But guess what's going to happen? This building is not going to withstand the storms and the passing of time. Maybe won't even survive people walking on it because every part of it is a little bit faulty. Now, of course, the architect can say, oh, I'm too busy. I didn't have money to pay for the right people, for the right materials. He might not care about a shoddily built house. That's fine. But when we're talking about our body as a magnificent temple that we have built, and we talk about the diet and the exercise that we can do or not do, then we are personally suffering the consequences of not eating right or not moving. And I'm not saying about going to the Olympics. I'm just talking about getting off a chair and go for a walk, go to the living room and come back. Just do something. Of course, doing exercise and building up those muscles that will burn those calories that we really want to burn is a change. It's difficult. It takes so much discipline. We have to plan about it and we have to give up something to have something else. But we know that when we do not exercise, as we become older, 30, 40 and beyond, we will experience problems because we are not moving enough. For example, stiffness, joint pains, or tightness in the chest if we move a little bit, difficulty moving, difficulty sleeping, and eventually we might even experience obesity, diabetes, metabolic disease. And guess what? A lot of people who are in hospital are there because they have developed these perfectly preventable diseases. So what we really need to do every day is be very mindful and need to make the connection between what we eat and what we become health-wise. We don't just become fat, we become ill, even if we cannot tell. So you can be very slender and eat junk food and you will be very sick, you will be prone to infections, to allergies, to lots of stuff. Because what is going into your body is not good for you. And let's make sure we know that everybody is different and everybody thrives on different foods. But we can't really expect to thrive on sugar and processed food. Now, we do not need to quote any medical studies to explain the obvious that happens when we continuously eat processed food, sugary foods, or far too many calories, because they contribute to metabolic disease. It is out of question that we should curb them all and just look at live food and not dead food. So when we go to the grocery store, that's when we have our plan set out and we want to stop buying the wrong food. Because guess what? When you're inside the house, if you reach for the cupboard full of junk food and you find something, chances are you're gonna get it. So let's make sure when you go grocery shopping, make sure you're thinking differently. How do we do that? I have a little process right there for you, straight from neuroscience. Now you have made the connection that live foods are good for you and dead foods are dead for you. So when you next go to Tesco, to Sainsbury's, to Walmart, and you see a whole shelf full of sweet treats, it's full of junk, and you start desiring to buy that type of food, as soon as a thought comes into your mind, think instead something different. Think about, oh, this is sweet. Ooh, inflammation, joint pain, heart issues, and just walk past. And what you're doing is a very simple thing. You're interrupting a pattern that has been repeated in your mind for years and years and years, which is to desire food that is actually harmful in the long term for the body. You are stopping the internal dialogue that is moving you towards the wrong food. So when you see those sweets occupying 10 meters of the shelves, so when the thought comes to you, I deserve this, then tell yourself, do I deserve a cavity? Do I deserve gut flora issues? Do I deserve hyperactivity for my children? And ignore those sweets. They should really print on the box what they actually do to you, like they do for cigarettes. You need to teach your brain by adding new behavior, fostering new behavior, fostering a new dialogue, so that your old behavior is not useful anymore. When you're distracting your brain from your wave of craving or sweetness, emotional baggage that makes you buy the stuff that you feel guilty about, you are literally carving a new path. In a path, if you keep going up and down the path a lot, eventually it's going to be really clear and much easier for a ball. If you throw a ball, it's going to go really easily on that path. And the brain has connections between the neurons. You want to break the connection between happiness and junk food. Just take it away. When you go to the fruit and vegetable aisle, it's probably like 5% of the entire store showing just what is important, right? Imagine, look at all these wonderful fruits and vegetables. Imagine that your cells are going to rejoice in being replenished by fresh produce. Visualize all your organs one by one being revitalized with good oils, with nuts, with pulses, with whole grains, with whatever fruit or vegetable is good for you. I realize there are allergies, so just visualize the things that you are not allergic to. Feel this different energy, feel the vibration of live foods that contain life. Learn to desire these foods. Think the words energy, light, power, happiness. Make an anchor. Make the connection feel alive when you are with this food. And then when you're back home, find wholesome recipes where you can incorporate those fresh foods. Do not add sugars and everything to them. You can just keep them very natural or eat something with a natural sweetener. I can give you a very quick example. Did you know that date sugar is very easy to make? A whole pack of dates is only like about £1 here in the UK. And with even half of it, you can make date syrup. Just mix the dates, take off a little stone, put some water, and you have date sugar. That's very healthy, tasty, rich. You can use it for baking, you can use it for everything. And it's really sweet. You don't need to put just as much as other stuff. And you can not feel guilt when you have that. So as you shift to more natural food, to less refined food, you will start losing the weight. You will start feeling better. Your mind will be more alert. Your sense of guilt will just go. And the less guilt you will have, the less soothing you will find in food. And you actually don't need a very specific, very restricted diet, which is not going to be sustainable in the long term. So there's no point in doing a diet for 3 months and then go back to how you ate before, because that shows you haven't achieved the education you need to have to know what is good for you and what is not good for you. So I hope that I passed here a little message that the easier way to keep your fitness goals is not to go on a crash diet, but is really to change the way you think about food. And as you change that, all your actions will reflect your newly built beliefs. You will buy more from the farmers, less from a grocery store. You will start desiring homemade vegetable soups, healthy salads, pulses. You might even want to start growing your own food. And this change must happen first in your mind. And that will translate into actions and into weight loss. And you have to make the decision. If you are stuck in an endless cycle of yo-yo dieting, emotional eating, losing weight just to regain twice as much, blaming others, blaming stress, blaming everyone else, come and work with me. I can help you, because in less than a month you will find out exactly what is keeping you stuck, and you will stop seeing food as a happiness drug or a celebration necessity. You will completely rewire your brain, and you will start respecting yourself as you are, with your inner beauty, with your outside beauty. You won't put yourself down, but you won't climb walls trying to justify to the world why the weight is there. I don't know what you're eating, but if what you're eating is making you reach the weight that you don't want, something is wrong with the diet. So you know exactly why it's there. There's no need of blaming the stress and what's going on. That doesn't make you do something unless you want. Nobody's there with a gun. And that's very important, to take that personal responsibility. Say, okay, I have to stop using food as a crutch. I want to feel empowered. And it's so amazing that just by way of changing your thoughts, you can change your actions, and then you can change the outcome. It is absolutely possible, perfectly possible, to create a new life on your terms, to stop being rushed about food and stop picking up stuff that is convenient and start thinking of what is convenient in the long term, because the time that we are saving by eating ready meals that are not good for us, by grabbing a cake instead of maybe slicing an apple, is all time that we'll have to use later on at hospitals, at doctor's appointments, taking pills, maybe because we can't walk anymore. So it's not really saved time. We're just delaying something for an immediate gratification. And a life when you are in charge of your thoughts and you won't take any excuses for your choices is a wonderful life, because you're going to be so proud of yourself. You're going to teach self-empowerment to your children, to those around you, and you will be able to identify triggers just as they appear. So you will feel empowered. Now your lifestyle will change, but it won't change for a month or for 2 months. It won't change just after Christmas. It will just change forever. Because once you get started with taking the responsibility for your health, great things are going to happen, not only physically, but emotionally and all around you, because you will look and feel so much better. All those niggling pains will just disappear. You might even see your diabetes becoming a lot more manageable and even disappear. And you deserve this. So are you ready for this? Are you ready to prepare for the winter that, although you might have all the triggers, you will be sitting there and thinking, no, I've got this. I know that all starts in my mind. The power of my mind is amazing. My mind is brilliant and can help me to choose the right food. And if you're ready for this, let's do it and let me know how you're getting on with it. And if you're stuck, well, talk to me and I'll help you to do it even better, because of course that's my job, to help people create the life they want by changing the way they think. So thank you very much for being with me today. It's been a very short episode, maybe only 22 minutes so far, but it's so great to chat about something that will be, of course, in all the newspapers very, very soon, because everyone will be talking about what to eat for Christmas, and then in January it will all be about, oh, what kind of diet are you gonna do? Oh, why don't we just stop doing all this madness stuff for Christmas and we eat more sensible foods and we stop sitting and eating the whole day? There has to be another way. So if you find this episode useful, click like and share it with somebody else that maybe would like to hear it. And of course, you can write a review on Apple iTunes or on Podbean or wherever you are getting this program, because the feed goes also to YouTube, etc., etc. So make sure you always click like and share, because it helps the visibility of this production, so that more people can help themselves, being happy, being in charge and in control. So thanks again for being with me, and I'll see you next time, and we're gonna talk about something amazing. I'm planning to talk about how our diet and exercise can change our mental health. Is it possible? So let's see what happens. Thank you for being with me. Take care. Bye-bye. You've listened to Create with Fran Sidney.